Toscano cigar, as I was saying before these four gentlemen walked in, was rolled in 1815, and the tobacco came from what is now known as Kentucky and Tennessee. The seed was gifted to Christopher Columbus and brought over to Italy. So that pretty much catches them up to where I was, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So, Toscano, we get our tobacco from two areas. 5 regions in Italy: Umbria, Toscana, Lazio, Campania, and Veneto, and then here in Tennessee at our farm villa, Toscano, USA. The biggest differential between the tobaccos in the United States and in Italy is how we fire cure the tobacco. In Italy, we fire cure with massive pieces of oak wood that every 3 hours the fire is stoked for up to 10 to 21 days. So you think about that. It's literally over fire for 10 to 21 days at the specific temperature. The leaves are rotated so they don't burn, they don't dry out too much. The fermentation is like it was in 1815, water. So what happened in 1815 was we had harvested this tobacco, but before it could be covered or taken inside, a massive rainstorm came and soaked the tobacco. So all of us here know, wet tobacco is not good tobacco. However, at that point, the tobacconists at what now is Toscano were a little bit optimistic, and they said, listen, we have two choices. We go tell Duke Ferdinand that we lost them a lot of money, or we make this work. So they decided to make it work. They let it sit in the sun for X amount of days, to the point where the smell of natural ammonia became so potent the neighbors started to complain. And they said to the factory, you got to get rid of this stuff, it's killing us. So at that point, a very optimistic tobacconist said, well, listen, I have a barn down the road, we'll clear out the barn, we'll put strings across the barn, we'll drape our tobacco over it, and we'll light a fire under it to make it a little bit more pliable. That day, in late August of 1815, was the day that Manifatture Sigaro Toscano fire-cured Kentucky seed tobacco was born. Fast forward today, and we're in 80 different countries, and in 2019 we sold 216 million cigars worldwide. So, to put that into perspective for you, the United States premium cigar market sells around 330 million. Manifatture Sigaro Toscano sold 216 million sticks alone. Okay? The tobacco that we use is, as I said, from Kentucky, Tennessee seed, and it's mostly Ligero and Viso tobacco, so the top primings of the middle to top primings of the tobacco. The great thing about these cigars is, too, because of the natural fermentation with water and because of the fire curing, it almost locks in the nutrients and oils that you would need to keep humidified. Therefore, the Toscano does not need to be humidified in any way, shape, or form. You can leave it outside your humidor for up to 2 years, and it's still going to smoke the same. It's going to smoke faster, a little bit more of a rustic burn, but at the end of the day, that's what's so great to the American smoker about these, because you're smoking premium tobacco that doesn't need to be humidified. Crazy, I know, but realistically, that's what we're dealing with. The other great thing about Toscano cigars is, in Italian, we call this particular cigar il sigaro dell'amicizia, or the cigar of friendship. So if I have a full-length Toscano, because a normal Toscano is like this is a Toscano Classico, we're smoking the Garibaldi. If I have a Toscano and you didn't, I could take the Toscano, cut it in half, much like I did here, share it with you. You share that immediate bond of sharing that cigar, and then you smoke it together to solve or create the world's problems. Depends on what you want to do that day. Toscano itself is a very, very unique tobacco. Aside from our fermentation with water that I talked about, the fire curing, and the aging process of our tobacco, it produces very unique flavors. As you smoke Toscano, especially the Toscano Garibaldi, which is all southern Italian tobacco from Benevento, you're going to get really nice natural sweetness to the tobacco and very light notes of oak. You're also going to get really nice notes of peat, some peat moss, a little bit of clove, and hits of pepper. Those are all indicative of Toscano tobacco because, again, a lot of people get, when I say that you taste a little bit of bitterness to the tobacco, a lot of cigar companies don't use the word bitter because they don't like using the word bitter. Toscano, we appreciate that because Mother Earth produced this beautiful piece of tobacco that produces these natural essences to the tobacco, so we embrace that rather than move away from it. So as you start smoking the Toscano Garibaldi, you're going to really start to taste that flavor profile. You're going to taste the soil that the tobacco was grown in. You're going to start tasting the fire. It really is something very special, and it's got a little bit higher of a nicotine content also. So thus far, are there any questions before I get into who smokes?